So the Biden administration has been snubbed by OPEC, or I guess they're OPEC plus now. All the anagrams get symbols, I guess, now. Yeah, so Joe Biden has asked OPEC if they would increase oil production. OPEC has told Biden, no, which is going to cause the price of gasoline to continue to rise, even though it's already rose at historic levels in a historic amount of time. And bear in mind, guys, all of this is happening while the majority of the news media will tell you the president has no effect on gasoline prices, y'all. Remember that. Remember, it's the president does not affect gasoline prices. Okay? So when Trump sold billions of dollars of military equipment to Saudi Arabia and then turned around and said, you better start producing more barrels of oil or I'm going to pull all of those deals and our military support from you. You saw how quick, fast, and in a hurry they increased their output. But the differences between Trump's foreign policy and Biden's foreign policy, you're not allowed to think that that might have a difference at the pump. Let's look at this Reuters article and see. OPEC and its allies, including Russia, believe oil markets do not need more oil than they plan to release in the coming months, despite U.S. pressure to add supplies to check an oil price rise. Because remember, guys, we've gone through all the stages here with the gas prices, right? The first thing was denial. You're insane. Gas prices aren't rising. Then the next thing was, well, it's because of Trump that the gasoline prices are rising. And now it's the president doesn't have any effect on the gasoline prices rising. So we have to come back full circle and redo this, because we have to remember OPEC and Russia do not give any shits about what Joe Biden thinks. And because of that, they are not adjusting this, and it is going to continue to affect us at the pump. Even though the media wants you to think the president has no effect on what's happening, in fact, he does. It's just funny to me how the media will argue the president has no effect on gas prices when 2 months ago it was all Trump's fault, and people just move right on past it. The price of international benchmark Brent crude has risen 35% this year. 35% in 1 year. Last week, U.S. President Joe Biden's administration urged the producer group to boost output to tackle rising gasoline prices it sees as a threat to the global economic recovery. Okay, just making sure that's what they say, because a month ago they weren't saying this because rising gas prices was insane. You were not to believe your eyes, and then if you did, it was not the president's fault. As a matter of fact, the president has no effect on the gas prices one way or the other. It's funny to me how they say that, and then the president goes and tries to affect the gas prices one way or the other by talking to OPEC. And then he fails, he comes back, and they're like, look, I wasn't going to be able to do anything anyways. It's insane. OPEC Plus agreed in July to boost output by 400,000 barrels per day a month starting in August until its current oil output reductions of 5.8 BPD are fully phased out. Who agreed with who? No, they agreed amongst themselves. OPEC came together and came to that conclusion themselves in July because they had cut production because of the CV. All right. And Reuters basically just says, we have 4 sources. They're all speaking on the condition of anonymity, so we have to keep that in mind. Ever since the whole Russia collusion and unmasking situation happened, it's kind of hard to continue to read an article that cites anonymous sources, but you have to in some shape and form when it comes to reporting on the news. Is it Reuters? But Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, criticized big drilling nations, including Saudi Arabia, for what he said were insufficient crude production levels in the aftermath of the global CV-19 pandemic. Jake Sullivan doesn't do much except for criticizing and getting offended. At a critical moment in the global recovery, this is simply not enough, Sullivan said. Okay, wow, what great words, Sullivan. Is there anything behind it? Are you making any moves to force their hand? If OPEC tells you no, then what are you going to do to change their minds? I'm not seeing that in any way, shape, or form here. And because of this lack of a plan, there's no backup plan to just asking OPEC. No plan. Now, OPEC's like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Enjoy your higher gas prices. But remember, it's not Biden's foreign policy that's causing your prices to rise at the pump. That is a figment of your imagination, Trump's fault, or neither one of their faults because presidents can't do it. U.S. gasoline prices are running at about $3.18 a gallon at the pumps, up more than $1 from this time last year, figures from the American Automobile Association showed. Up $1. OPEC won't increase their output even though the U.S. is begging them to through foreign policy efforts, and we're supposed to believe that gas prices cannot be affected by president's foreign policy. I'm hoping I'm breaking through somebody's cognitive dissonance here. All of these things can't be true. This is such a small example. The gasoline price rising during Biden's presidency and the way that the news media has handled it with denial and obfuscation and okey dokes and gaslighting. It's just a great isolated small example. But they do this with literally everything. Everything. It's either done in a negative context, if they're going against the people who they consider their political enemies, or it's done in a positive context where they're trying to make the people that they have aligned themselves look better. But gone are the days of neutral, objective reporting in any way, shape, or form. You are not going to find that anywhere. And I think really all that's happened is that illusion was destroyed because I don't think you ever got it anywhere. And I know what everybody says about the old news channels and about when CNN was first, on the scene and listen, it's going to take a lot for you to convince me that the news media wasn't just always lying. Now, I can be convinced that they were maybe pulling the wool over Americans' eyes much easier for many years. It's just all the same stuff. You see it. It's right there in your face, and it is what it is. But boy, howdy, the gaslighting on gas prices. How funny is that? All right, y'all. Like, share, sub. Talk to you later. Peace.